My name is Grace, and I want you to listen carefully to my story. Because the day my husband laughed about my mother's death, something inside me broke forever. Before I start, please do something for me. If you love emotional and powerful true life stories like this, please hit the subscribe button, like this video, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss my next stories. And please, go to the comments and tell me which country or city you're watching from. I want to know where my friends are watching me from. And I read every comment. Alright, let me take you back to the night everything changed. I was sitting on the edge of our bed, holding my phone so tightly that my fingers felt numb. My brother's voice was still in my ears. Grace, Mama is gone. Those 4 words felt like a knife in my chest. I could not breathe. I could not think. Mama, my best friend, my prayer partner, my safe place. Tears ran down my face, falling on my dress. I pressed the phone to my chest and cried like a child. I thought my husband, Daniel, would hold me. I thought he would sit beside me, rub my back, and say, I'm here. We will get through this. But when I lifted my head, I heard something I will never forget. He was laughing. Not a small, nervous laugh. Not a confused laugh. A loud, wicked laugh. Finally, he said, still smiling. That woman has died. For a moment, I thought I heard wrong. I wiped my tears and stared at him. What did you say? I asked. My voice was shaking. He leaned on the wall, folded his arms, and looked at me like I was bothering him. I said your mother is finally gone. He repeated. Good. Now you can stop running to her for every little thing. My heart stopped. This was the man I had cooked for, washed for, supported when he had no job, prayed for at midnight. And he was happy that my mother was dead. Daniel, how can you say that? I cried. Do you know how much she suffered in the hospital? Do you know how many nights I stayed awake, praying for her? He rolled his eyes. Oh, please, Grace, he said. Your mother never liked me. She always looked at me like I was not good enough for you. Now she's gone. Maybe our marriage can finally be peaceful. Peaceful. My body was shaking. I felt hot and cold at the same time. I stood up from the bed. Daniel, my mother is dead, I whispered. Can you not respect her even in death? He laughed again. Respect, he said. You're crying like a baby. People die every day, Grace. You're not the first person to lose a mother. His words stabbed me deeper than any knife. I remembered my mother's weak voice on the hospital bed, holding my hand. Grace, my daughter. Be patient in your marriage. Respect your husband. God will reward you. If only she heard him now. If only she heard the man I suffered for, laughing at her death. I could not stay in the room anymore. I ran to the bathroom, locked the door, and slid down to the floor. I cried so loudly that my chest hurt. I covered my mouth with my hands, trying not to scream. How can he do this to me, God? I whispered. Why is he happy that my mother is dead? I stayed there for a long time, listening to my own sobs, listening to the sound of the TV from the sitting room, where my husband watched his show like nothing had happened. No, I'm sorry. No, how are you? Nothing. Let me take you back a little, so you can understand why his laughter cut so deep. Before Mama got sick, I tried so hard to make my marriage work. When Daniel lost his first job, it was Mama who gave us money for food. I remember one night, we had only a little rice left. I cooked it with pepper and oil. No meat, nothing. Daniel looked at the plate and frowned. This is all? He asked. I smiled at him. Don't worry, I said gently. Mama said we can come to her house tomorrow. She has some foodstuffs for us. He hissed. Your mother again, he said. Are we children? Must we always run to her? Still, I kept quiet. I did not want to fight. When his rent was due before we got married, Mama was the one who helped. When he wanted a better suit for his new job interview, Mama gave me her own savings. Help him look good, she told me. He is your husband. When he stands well, you stand well too. She believed in him. She believed in us. But he never liked her. He said she interfered too much. Any small advice from Mama became an insult to him. Still, I never imagined he would be happy about her death. Back in the bathroom, my eyes were red and swollen. I washed my face and looked in the mirror. I did not recognize the woman staring back at me. I wanted to run to my mother's house. But she was no longer there. Only her empty bed in the hospital, and a cold body in the mortuary. I came out of the bathroom slowly. Daniel was on the bed now, pressing his phone. He didn't even look at me. I sat at the edge of the bed again, my hands shaking. Daniel, I said softly, I am traveling tomorrow for the burial. He shrugged. Okay, he said. Go. Just don't stay too long. That was all. No, can I follow you? No, let me support you. Nothing. I lay down beside him that night, but it felt like I was lying next to a stranger. My phone lay on my chest, and tears kept rolling into my ears. I wished Mama could hug me just one more time. The next morning, I woke up early to prepare for the journey. I washed my face, tied my scarf, and started packing my small bag. Daniel dressed for work. He stood by the mirror, fixing his tie. I watched him quietly. Part of me wanted to shout, to scream at him, to throw something and ask, "How can you be so cold?" But I was too weak. He picked up his briefcase. "I'm going," he said. "Call me when you get there." I just nodded. He walked to the door, then stopped. For a second, I thought he would say something kind. Instead, he turned around and smirked. "Try not to cry too much in front of people," he said. "You know how you like drama." He left before I could answer. I sat on the bed, my hands clenched tight, tears burning my eyes again. I was still sitting there when my phone rang. The screen showed a name I almost never saw directly on my phone. Mr. Harrison, Daniel's boss. My heart jumped. Why was his boss calling me? He hardly spoke to me except at office parties. My fingers trembled as I picked up the call. "Hello," I said quietly. "Good morning, is this Grace?" The voice was deep and serious. "Yes, sir." "Good morning," I replied. There was a short silence. I could hear a chair moving, like someone was sitting down slowly. "I'm sorry to disturb you," Mr. Harrison said. "I heard about your mother. Please accept my sympathy." Tears filled my eyes again. "Thank you, sir," I whispered. He sighed. And then his voice changed. It became heavier. "Actually," he continued, "I'm calling because of something Daniel said here at the office. About your mother's death. And about you." My heart started beating very fast. What did he say, sir?" I asked, my voice almost breaking. On the other side of the phone, I heard him take a slow, deep breath, like he was about to say something that would change everything. "Grace," he said quietly, "I think you need to know the kind of man you're living with. Your husband didn't just laugh about your mother's death." He paused. I held the phone tighter, my eyes wide, my chest frozen. "Sir, please," I whispered, my whole body shaking. "What did he do?" And that was the moment. Mr. Harrison finally began to speak. My heart was beating so fast, I thought it would jump out of my chest. I pressed the phone closer to my ear. "Sir, please," I said again. "What did my husband do?" On the other side, Mr. Harrison was quiet for a few seconds. That silence was heavier than any shout. Then he spoke. "Grace," he said slowly. "Yesterday at the office, your husband was laughing. Not just smiling. Laughing loudly. My knees became weak. I slowly sat back on the bed. Laughing." I whispered. "Yes," he replied. He told his colleagues, "I'm finally free. The old woman is gone." My breath caught in my throat. "She was my mother," I said, my voice shaking. "Not just an old woman." "I know," Mr. Harrison answered softly. "And that is why I'm calling you." Tears ran down my face again. But this time, they were mixed with shock and fear. Mr. Harrison continued. "He didn't stop there, Grace. He went on to say that now, nothing would stop him." "Stop him from what?" I asked. There was another pause. "From leaving," Mr. Harrison said. "From starting a new life." My stomach dropped. "Leaving me?" I asked. "Yes," he replied. The room began to spin. I held the bed tightly so I wouldn't fall. "He said," Mr. Harrison continued, "that your mother was the only reason he stayed respectful. That she was the one who warned him to behave himself. And now that she's gone." His voice lowered. He said he no longer needed to pretend. My ears rang. Pretend. All this time. Was my marriage just pretending? I swallowed hard. "Sir, why are you telling me this?" I asked. Mr. Harrison sighed deeply. "Because," he said. What he also said concerned me as a human being. And as his boss. My hands started shaking badly. "What did he say?" I asked. "He said," Mr. Harrison replied slowly, "that very soon, you would be out of his way." The phone almost slipped from my hands. "Out of his way?" I repeated. "What does that even mean?" "I don't know," Mr. Harrison said honestly. But the way he said it, the smile on his face. Grace, it did not sound like a joke. Fear crawled into my bones. "Sir," I whispered, "are you saying my husband wants to hurt me?" Mr. Harrison didn't answer immediately. That silence again. Then he said, "I'm saying you should be careful." My whole body went cold. After the call ended, I sat on the bed for a long time, staring at the wall. The house suddenly felt different. The walls felt closer. The air felt heavy. I replayed every moment of my marriage in my head. The times he shouted. The times he locked me out. The times he smiled politely in front of people, then turned cold when we were alone. And my mother. She always looked at him with concern. One evening, when Mama was already sick, she called me close to her bed. "Grace," she whispered, "if anything happens to me, please watch yourself in that house." I laughed then. "Mama, nothing will happen," I said. "Daniel is not a bad man." She looked at me with tired eyes. "Not all bad people shout," she said softly. "Some smile." Now she was gone, and her words were screaming in my ears. I finished packing my bag with shaking hands. Every sound scared me. The door creaking. A car passing outside. I checked the door lock twice. I didn't know why. But fear told me not to relax. I left the house for the journey. All through the bus ride, my thoughts were heavy. Daniel did not call. He did not text. At the burial, people hugged me and cried with me. They said kind words. But inside my heart, there was a storm. I kept wondering, what exactly is my husband planning? 2 days later, after the burial, I returned home. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Daniel was not back from work yet. I sat in the sitting room, my bag still on my lap. Then I saw it. An envelope on the table. My name was written on it. Grace. My heart started pounding again. I slowly opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper. One sentence. Now that she's gone, we need to talk. My hands began to tremble. Talk about what? As I was still staring at the paper, I heard the front door open. Daniel walked in. He looked calm. Too calm. He dropped his briefcase, looked straight at me, and smiled. "Welcome back," he said. "We need to talk." And then he locked the door behind him. The sound of the lock clicking echoed in my ears. Click. My heart jumped. Daniel stood by the door for a moment, his hand still on the handle, his face calm. Too calm. "We need to talk," he said again, walking slowly toward me. I sat on the couch, frozen. The envelope was still in my hand. "Why did you lock the door?" I asked quietly. He smiled. "A married couple should talk in private," he said. That smile made my stomach twist. He sat across from me, crossed his legs, and looked at me like a teacher looking at a slow student. "Did the burial go well?" he asked. I nodded. Yes. No sympathy. No sadness. He leaned back and sighed. "Good," he said. "Now that your mother is buried, we can finally speak freely." My chest tightened. "What do you mean?" I asked. He laughed softly. "Grace, don't act surprised," he said. "You know your mother never wanted me. She poisoned your mind against me." I shook my head slowly. "That's not true," I said. "She always asked me to respect you." Daniel waved his hand. "She pretended," he said. "She controlled you through her advice." I remembered her voice again. "Be patient. Love heals many things." My eyes filled with tears. "Please," I said. "Can you not insult her today?" He leaned forward, his eyes suddenly sharp. "She's dead," he said. "Why are you still talking about her like she can hear us?" The words hit me hard. "I am your wife," I whispered. "And she was my mother." Daniel stood up. "That is exactly the problem," he said. "You always chose her over me." I stood up too, my hands shaking. "When did I choose her over you?" I asked. "When she helped us eat. When she helped us pay rent. When she gave us money for your clothes." His face darkened. "Shut up," he snapped. I flinched. "I didn't ask for her help," he said. "You made me look weak." Weak. I swallowed hard. "I believed in you," I said quietly. "So did she." He laughed again. A bitter laugh. "You believed in a lie," he said. "I'm tired of pretending now." My heart skipped. "Pretending what?" I asked. He walked to the window, then turned back to me. "Pretending to be the husband you think I am," he said. The room felt smaller. "I have another life," he continued. "Another woman. And plans that don't include you." My ears rang. "Another woman?" I whispered. "Yes," he replied without shame. "She understands me. She doesn't run to her mother for every decision." Tears flowed freely now. "For how long?" I asked. He shrugged. "Long enough." My legs felt weak. "I loved you," I cried. "I stood by you when you had nothing." He sighed like I was boring him. "And now I have something," he said. "So I am upgrading." Upgrade. I remembered Mr. Harrison's warning. "Very soon, you'll be out of his way." My fear deepened. "So why am I here?" I asked. "Why didn't you just divorce me?" He smiled slowly. "Because," he said, "leaving you empty-handed would not be smart." My heart raced. "What do you mean?" I asked. "Our house," he said. "The joint account. And your late mother's land." I stared at him. "My mother's land?" I shouted. "That is not yours." He walked closer. "Not yet," he said. "But it will be, very soon." I stepped back. No, I whispered. You won't touch it. His eyes hardened. You forget who you married, he said. And you forget who signs the papers. Fear wrapped around my throat. What papers? I asked. Before he could answer, his phone rang. He checked the screen and frowned. He walked away to answer it. I heard his voice, low and angry. Yes. Yes, sir. No, she doesn't know yet. My heart stopped. Sir. Only one person called him, sir. Mr. Harrison. Daniel looked over his shoulder at me, his face changing. Then he ended the call. His confident smile was gone. What happened? I asked, my voice shaking. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stared at me, like I was seeing him for the first time. Grace, he said slowly, what did my boss say to you? The fear in his eyes told me one thing clearly. Something had gone wrong. And whatever it was coming for us both. Daniel's question hung in the air like smoke. What did my boss say to you? He repeated, slowly. I stared at him, my heart racing. I don't know what you're talking about, I said. It was the first lie I ever told my husband. And I hated that I had to tell it. He watched my face closely, like a hunter studying his prey. You're lying, he said quietly. My boss doesn't call wives for no reason. I swallowed hard. He only offered his condolences, I replied. That is normal, isn't it? Daniel didn't answer. He turned away and paced the room. His hand went to his forehead. He looked worried. That scared me more than his shouting. What is it, Daniel? I asked. Why are you suddenly scared of your boss? He stopped walking. I'm not scared, he snapped. I just hate nosy people. I kept quiet. In my head, Mr. Harrison's words replayed again. You should be careful. Daniel walked to the cabinet and pulled out a file. A thick, brown file. He dropped it on the table in front of me. What is this? I asked. Your future, he said. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were papers. Many papers. Photocopies of our marriage certificate, bank documents, and land documents. My eyes stopped on one name. My mother's name. What is this doing here? I asked sharply. Daniel leaned on the table. Your mother planned to transfer the land to you, he said. But she died before doing it properly. My chest tightened. So? I asked. So, he continued, with the right signatures, that land can still be sold. I stared at him. You forged her signature? I whispered. He smiled. Not yet. My legs felt weak. That land is sacred, I cried. She bought it with her sweat. Daniel's face hardened. Do you know how much it's worth now? He said. Enough to start a new life. I shook my head. No, I said. I won't allow it. He laughed. You don't have a choice, he replied. I stepped back. You can't do this alone, I said. You need witnesses. That's where you come in, he said. I felt sick. You want me to sign? I whispered. Yes, he replied calmly. And after that, we will separate peacefully. Peacefully. I remembered my mother's last look. That weak smile. That quiet warning. Watch yourself. No, I said firmly. I will never sign. Daniel's eyes turned cold. You think you still have power? He asked. Grace, your mother protected you. Now she's gone. I felt tears fall again. You're cruel, I said. She just died. He walked closer. Exactly, he said. And timing is everything. Just then, there was a knock on the door. 3 sharp knocks. Daniel froze. We both turned toward the door. Who is that? I asked. He didn't answer. Another knock. This time louder. Daniel, a man's voice called. Open the door. I recognized the voice. Mr. Harrison. Daniel's face went pale. What is my boss doing here? I whispered. Daniel's lips moved slowly. I didn't expect him so soon. My heart started pounding again. Daniel walked to the door slowly. Before opening it, he turned back to me. Remember, he said quietly. Not a word. He opened the door. Mr. Harrison stepped in. He looked serious. Angry even. He closed the door behind him. His eyes moved from Daniel to me. Then he said something that made my heart almost stop. Daniel, he said coldly, we need to talk about the documents you tried to file, using a dead woman's name. Daniel's face drained of all color, and I realized my mother's death was only the beginning of the storm. Daniel's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Mr. Harrison stood tall in the middle of the room, his eyes fixed on Daniel like a judge. Sir, I can explain, Daniel finally said, forcing a weak smile. Explain what? Mr. Harrison replied coldly. That you tried to register land documents with a forged signature belonging to a woman who was already dead. My legs felt weak. I slowly sat down. Daniel wiped his face with his hand. There must be a mistake, he said. Those papers are not complete. Mr. Harrison laughed softly. Not a happy laugh. I know very well when something is complete, he said. That's why I'm here. He turned to me. Grace, he said gently. I'm sorry you have to see this way. I could barely speak. My mother's land? I whispered. Yes, he replied. She reported strange inquiries before she died. My heart jumped. She said something. I asked. Mr. Harrison nodded. She came to my office 2 weeks ago, he said. She was worried. I felt dizzy. I didn't know, I said. She suspected Daniel, he continued. And she asked for advice. Daniel shouted. Why would you listen to her? She's not your employee. Mr. Harrison turned sharply. I listened because she was a worried mother, he said. And because what she described sounded illegal. Daniel clenched his fists. She had no proof, he shouted. Mr. Harrison opened his bag and removed another file. I have proof, he said. He placed it on the table. Inside were photocopies of emails, bank alerts, and scanned signatures. My hands trembled. Daniel took a step back. You went through my emails, he yelled. You used the company system, Mr. Harrison replied. And you violated company ethics. Silence filled the room. Daniel's face twisted with anger and fear. You're doing this because of her, he said, pointing at me. Because she complained. Mr. Harrison shook his head. No, he said. I'm doing this because you crossed a line. He turned to me again. Grace, he said kindly. I advise you to leave this house tonight. My heart skipped. Leave? I asked. Yes, he nodded. This situation is not safe for you. Daniel snapped. She's my wife, he shouted. You can't tell her to leave. Mr. Harrison looked at him calmly. I can, he said. And I just did. I stood up slowly. Daniel, I said. Is everything he's saying true? Daniel avoided my eyes. Answer me. I cried. He looked away. That was my answer. Tears streamed down my face. You planned all this, I said. Even before my mother died. Daniel exploded. I'm done pretending, he shouted. I wanted out, and she was in the way. My heart broke again. Mr. Harrison stepped forward. That's enough, he said firmly. Daniel, you are suspended effective immediately. Daniel froze. Suspended, he whispered. Yes, Mr. Harrison replied. And possibly terminated. The room felt like it was spinning. Daniel laughed suddenly. You think this stops me, he said. I'll still get what I want. He turned and glared at me. You still have to sign. Fear rose in me. Mr. Harrison's eyes hardened. Daniel, he said. Touch her, threaten her, or approach that land again, and the police will be involved. Daniel clenched his jaw. For a moment, no one breathed. Then Daniel spoke quietly. You think you've won, he said. This isn't over. He grabbed his jacket and stormed toward the door. Before leaving, he turned back to me. Sleep with one eye open, he whispered. Then he slammed the door behind him. I collapsed onto the couch, shaking. Mr. Harrison turned to me. I'm sorry, he said gently. But this is far from finished. I looked up at him, terrified. What happens now? I asked. Before he could answer, there was a loud knock at the door again. Even louder than before. 3 hard knocks. Mr. Harrison frowned. That won't be Daniel, he said. My heart sank. Then a deep voice called from outside. Open up. This is the police. My breath caught in my throat. And everything went quiet. My whole body froze. The police. I whispered. Mr. Harrison moved quickly toward the door. Stay behind me, he said. My legs felt weak, but I stood up anyway. Mr. Harrison opened the door slowly. 2 police officers stood outside. One tall, one shorter, both with serious faces. Good evening, the tall officer said. Are you Mr. Daniel Okafor? Mr. Harrison shook his head. He just left, he replied. But you can come in. The officers stepped inside and looked around the room. Their eyes stopped on the files spread across the table. The shorter officer raised his brow. Looks like we came at the right time, he said. My heart beat faster. Madam, the tall officer said, turning to me. Are you Grace Okafor? Yes, I replied, my voice shaking. We need to ask you some questions, he said gently. About your husband. And some documents. I swallowed hard. Mr. Harrison spoke. Officers, everything you need is right here. He pointed to the files. The tall officer opened one and flipped through the pages. Forged signatures. Email prints. Land documents. He nodded slowly. We received a report this afternoon, he said. An attempt to register property using a false signature. My chest tightened. My mother's land, I whispered. Yes, the officer confirmed. And we believe your husband planned to sell it quickly. The room felt cold. Where is he now? The shorter officer asked. I don't know, I replied. He left just before you arrived. The officers exchanged looks. That's a problem, the tall one said. Because we were hoping to speak with him tonight. Fear crept back into my heart. Is he dangerous? I asked quietly. The officer hesitated, then nodded. He has a history of threats, he said. Nothing reported officially, but enough to be cautious. My knees almost gave way. Mr. Harrison placed a hand on my shoulder. You were right to be careful, he said softly. The police officer turned back to me. Madam, he said, for your safety, you should not stay here tonight. I remembered Daniel's words. Sleep with one eye open. My hands began to shake again. Can I ask something? I said softly. Why did you come now? Why today? The officer took a deep breath. Because your husband tried to submit the documents today, he said. And when they were rejected. He paused. He became angry. How angry? I asked. The officer looked at me carefully. He told someone, he said slowly, that if these papers don't go through, someone will regret standing in his way. The room went silent. "That someone," I whispered. "Was me, wasn't it?" The officer didn't answer. He didn't need to. Suddenly, my phone buzzed in my hand. A text message. From Daniel. My heart stopped. I looked at the screen. One sentence. "You think they can protect you?" Then another message came in. "This is not finished." I raised my eyes slowly to Mr. Harrison and the police officers. My voice was barely a whisper. "He knows," I said. "He knows you're here." Just then, the lights in the house went out. Everything went dark. And outside, a car engine started. The house went completely dark. I screamed. The shorter police officer quickly pulled out a flashlight. "Everyone stay still," he ordered. My heart was pounding so hard. It felt like it would break my chest. Outside, the car engine grew louder, then softer, then stopped. "He's outside," I whispered. The tall officer moved toward the window carefully. He pulled the curtains slightly and looked out. "I see a vehicle," he said, "parked across the street." My hands were shaking badly now. Mr. Harrison held my arm. "You're not alone," he said firmly. The officers moved fast. Power outage could be a coincidence. The tall officer said, "But we treat it as a threat." The shorter officer spoke into his radio. "Requesting backup," he said. "Possible domestic threat, power outage, suspect nearby." My breathing became shallow. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again. Another message from Daniel. "I told you this house would be quiet without her." My knees buckled. "He's watching," I cried. "He's here." The officers took the phone from me. "That message just helped us," the tall one said. A loud sound hit the door. Bang. I screamed again. "Police!" the officer shouted. "Identify yourself." No answer. Another bang. Bang. The door handle moved. My heart stopped. The shorter officer stood directly in front of the door, gun drawn. "Last warning," he shouted. Then everything happened at once. The door burst open. A shadow rushed in. A man stumbled forward. "Freeze!" the officer yelled. The flashlight beam hit his face. Not Daniel. It was a neighbor, breathing hard. "The power line," he panted. "It snapped down the street. I saw police cars and came to warn you." Silence. The tension dropped slightly, but the fear didn't. Sirens wailed in the distance. Backup was arriving. Mr. Harrison exhaled deeply. "So the blackout wasn't his doing," he said. "Not directly," the tall officer replied. "But that doesn't clear him." As backup officers arrived, they searched the area outside. They checked the parked car. Empty. No sign of Daniel. "He was here," I whispered. "I know it." The tall officer nodded. "He wanted you to feel afraid," he said. "And he succeeded." My phone buzzed one last time. A voice message. The officer played it on speaker. Daniel's voice filled the dark room. Calm. Cold. "You see, Grace," he said. "Even without touching you, I can still control the night." Tears ran down my face. The shorter officer clenched his jaw. "That's enough," he said. "This man just crossed another line." They turned to me. "Madam," the tall officer said, "we are placing your husband on a watch list. You will not be returning to this house." I felt relief and sadness. "What about my mother's land?" I asked quietly. Mr. Harrison answered. "It's safe," he said. "She protected you, even in death." We left the house under police protection. As I stepped outside, I looked back once. The dark house stood silent. Then, across the street, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A cigarette glowing in the darkness. Someone was there, watching. And I knew. Daniel was not done yet. The red glow of the cigarette burned in the dark. I stopped walking. That person, I whispered. Did you see him? The police officers turned quickly. Flashlights cut through the darkness. The light hit the empty sidewalk. Nothing. No man. No cigarette. Just silence. He was there, I said, my voice breaking. I swear he was there. The tall officer nodded slowly. I believe you, he said. But whoever it was, they moved fast. My chest felt tight again. We were escorted into the police vehicle. As the car drove off, I kept looking back. The street disappeared behind us. But the fear stayed with me. They took me to a safe place for the night. A quiet guest house owned by the company Mr. Harrison worked for. Clean. Secure. Silent. Too silent. Mr. Harrison sat across from me in the small sitting room. You need to hear everything, he said. All of it. I nodded weakly. There's more, isn't there? I asked. Yes, he replied. A lot more. He opened his laptop and turned it toward me. What your husband didn't start with the land, he said. It started at work. My heart sank. Daniel has been stealing company funds, Mr. Harrison continued. Small amounts at first. Enough to go unnoticed. I gasped. He told me he was getting bonuses, I whispered. Mr. Harrison shook his head. No bonuses, he said. Only theft. He clicked a folder. Bank transfers. Fake invoices. Accounts I had never seen before. And the other woman? I asked softly. Is she real? Mr. Harrison's face hardened. Yes, he said. She is. My heart cracked again. She works under him, he continued. And she knows about the land. I covered my mouth. So they planned everything together? I asked. Yes, he said. They planned to sell the land, take the money, and disappear. Disappear. Leaving me with nothing. And my mother? I asked, my voice shaking. Did she find out? Mr. Harrison nodded slowly. She did, he said. And that's why she came to see me. Tears filled my eyes. She told me, he continued, that Daniel had started pressuring her to sign papers. She refused. My hands trembled. 2 days later, Mr. Harrison said quietly, she collapsed. The room went silent. I couldn't breathe. You're not saying? I whispered. I'm saying, he replied carefully, that the stress may have helped trigger her condition. Anger burned through my grief. All this time, my mother had been fighting for me. Just then, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. The police officer beside the door looked at me. Don't answer, he warned. But the phone kept ringing. Again. And again. Finally, I picked it up with shaking hands. Grace, a woman's voice said calmly. You should stop fighting. I froze. Who are you? I asked. She laughed softly. You know exactly who I am, she replied. The one who will replace you. My heart pounded. Tell Daniel to leave me alone, I said. She sighed. If you had listened earlier, your mother would have rested in peace, she said. My blood ran cold. What do you mean? I whispered. The line went silent. Then she spoke again, slowly. He's coming tonight, she said. And this time, he won't be scared of police or bosses. The call ended. The phone slipped from my hand and hit the floor. Everyone stared at me. My voice came out in a whisper. That was her, I said. And she said, Daniel is coming tonight. Outside, somewhere in the distance, a car door slammed shut. And my heart knew. The worst chapter of my life was about to begin. My heart felt like it stopped beating. He's coming tonight, I repeated, my voice barely above a whisper. The police officer near the door straightened immediately. Mr. Harrison stood up fast. "Did she say where?" the officer asked. "No," I replied, shaking my head. "She just said, tonight." The room changed instantly. Phones came out. Radios crackled. The calm, quiet guest house no longer felt safe. "We move now," the tall officer said firmly. "We won't wait for him." I hugged my arms around myself. "I don't want him to find me," I cried. "You're not alone anymore," Mr. Harrison said. "You don't have to face him by yourself." We were about to leave the room when a loud sound cut through the silence. A car screeched outside. Brakes. Then silence again. Everyone froze. The officer looked through the window carefully. "There's a car parked across the gate," he said. "Engine still warm." My stomach twisted. "That's him," I whispered. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a video call. "Daniel." My hands trembled violently. "Don't pick it up," the officer said. But before I could stop myself, I pressed answer. Daniel's face filled the screen. He was smiling. Calm. Satisfied. "I told you," he said softly. "No one can hide you from me." "Where are you?" I shouted. He laughed. "Close enough," he replied. "Close enough to smell your fear." Mr. Harrison leaned into the camera. "Daniel," he said sternly. "This is over." Daniel's smile faded. "Just a little. You always thought you were better than me," Daniel said. "But look at you now, protecting a woman who will soon be nothing." I felt anger rise. "You killed my mother with stress." I screamed. "You planned everything." He tilted his head. "She should have signed," he said casually. "She made things difficult." The officers moved instantly. "That's a confession," one said. Daniel chuckled. "You can't prove anything," he replied. "By the time you catch me, the land will already be sold." My heart pounded. "That land is locked," Mr. Harrison snapped. "You failed." Daniel's eyes changed. For the first time, fear appeared. "What?" he demanded. Mr. Harrison didn't answer. Instead, the tall officer spoke. "The buyer contacted the land office tonight," he said. "He was arrested for fraud." Daniel's breathing became loud. "No," he whispered. "Yes," the officer replied. "And every account you used is frozen." Rage filled Daniel's face. "You ruined everything," he shouted. Then his voice became low. "Dangerous. If I can't have it," he said slowly, "neither will she." My blood ran cold. "Daniel, stop," I cried. The screen shook as he moved. Sirens exploded outside. Police cars flooded the gate. "I see them," Daniel snarled. "But they're too late." The video turned blurry. "Grace," he said quietly, "open your eyes." The call ended. At that same moment, a loud crash echoed from downstairs. Glass shattered. Someone had broken in. The officers drew their weapons. "Stay back," one shouted. Heavy footsteps climbed the stairs. Closer. Closer. My heart felt like it would burst. Then a voice I knew too well filled the hallway. "Grace," Daniel called softly. "Come out. Let's finish this." The door handle began to turn. And I realized this was no longer about land. It was about survival. The door handle stopped turning. Everything was silent. My heart was pounding so hard. I thought Daniel could hear it from the hallway. "Grace," he called again, softer this time. "Come out. I just want to talk." The police officer standing in front of me shook his head slowly. "Do not answer," he whispered. Then Daniel laughed. A cold, tired laugh. "Always hiding behind other people," he said. "Just like your mother." That was when something inside me broke. I stepped forward. "Daniel," I shouted. "You will never speak about my mother again." The officers raised their hands to stop me, but it was too late. I walked closer to the door. "You wanted the land," I continued, my voice shaking with anger. "You wanted money. You wanted power." There was silence on the other side. Then he spoke again. "I wanted freedom," he said. "And she was in the way. You were in the way." The tall officer pressed a button on his radio. "That's enough," he said firmly. "Suspect has confessed to threats and fraud." Suddenly, loud footsteps thundered up the stairs. "Police! Drop to the ground!" Daniel shouted. "No! You don't understand." The door burst open. Daniel stood there, shocked. His confidence gone. Police officers surrounded him in seconds. "Daniel Okafor," one officer said, "you are under arrest for fraud, forgery, theft, and criminal threats." He turned and looked at me one last time. His eyes were empty. "She ruined everything," he said weakly. "She should have signed." I stepped forward, tears streaming down my face. "My mother saved my life," I said. "And even in death." She spoke. The officers handcuffed him. As they took him away, he didn't fight. He didn't shout. He just looked small. Weeks later, the case was all over the news. Daniel lost his job. The other woman was arrested too. Every stolen penny was traced. My mother's land was protected by law. No one could touch it again. I stood on that land one quiet morning, holding a flower. "Thank you, Mama," I whispered. "You warned me. And I finally listened. For the first time in years, I felt safe, free, strong." To everyone watching this story, if this touched your heart, please like this video. Subscribe to this channel for more real, emotional stories. And turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next one. And please tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? Your support keeps these stories alive.